Hello, friends. We now invite you to join us for the Animation Academy. Please welcome your sketch artist, Matthew Dewater.
Hello, everyone. Hi, everybody. Hi. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Welcome here to the Festival of the Arts. Welcome to EPCOT. And welcome here today to the Animation Academy. Thank you guys for joining. Excited to see it's starting to warm up a little bit, thankfully. We've been freezing our fingers off drawing up here the past week. But today is great. I'm happy to see you all. So excited to get started. A little bit about me. My name is Matt. I am a character artist for Disney Consumer Products, which is a department where we, as the name would suggest, we create all the artwork and graphic design and everything that you're eventually going to see on any Disney products out there that you can buy. That includes stuff in the parks, stuff outside the berm, the Targets and Walmarts of the world, third-party things. All over the place, we kind of do it all. Cruise ships, it's a wide Disney world out there, and we get to kind of touch all of it. And it's really cool to have such a really big variety of stuff that we do. And so I'm a manager at Consumer Products. I work mostly on Princess and Frozen stuff at this point, which is great. I love it. Today, though, I get to pivot, and we're going to do something a little bit nice and cute and cuddly. Somebody that we have all grown up with, our dearly beloved Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh fans, yes. Very good. Winnie the Pooh is, of course, near and dear to my heart. I have young kids at home. My boy's room was Winnie the Pooh when he was little, so love drawing Pooh whenever I get a chance. He's so funny, he's deceivingly simple, I was just saying backstage. So we're gonna take it slow. We're gonna go step by step. Let me see, show of hands, how many of you have done a class like this before? Very good, awesome. And how many of you have not done a class like this before? Yes, that would be the other half, that makes sense. So we can jump right in, and as we go, I want you guys to kind of keep it light, keep it loose, especially as we get started. It's just the very beginning stages, so we don't need to come in real heavy-handed for our line work. So we'll get started. Whenever I sit down to draw, I always like to make sure that I have some reference, right? And so a lot of, especially younger artists out here, I think a lot of the younger artists think that using reference or copying from something or anything like that is cheating, right? You're not a real artist. And I always, for these classes, always like to make sure to make a point. It is not. We use reference and model sheets and all kinds of stuff to make sure, like I said, it's a wide Disney world, and that includes, there's so many Disney artists that work on these characters, but we need to keep them consistent from artist to artist. So we use reference whenever we can to make sure that is happening. So today I brought one of the old Winnie the Pooh model sheets from the 1960s. And this was when they were working on the original short films, Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree, and we'll talk more about that later. But so a model sheet shows, different perspectives, different angles, different expressions. And the animators on the film would use this as reference as they're animating frame by frame. So we'll use it today to kind of get started. You can see kind of a cool little Easter egg here. Up here, you can see the signature Wooly. That's Wooly Reitherman, who was the director of the Winnie the Pooh shorts. So he signs off on it. It's good to go. The animators can use it, and so can we. So we'll get started. If you've done a class like this before, you probably know that a lot of our characters start with a circle for the head, and Pooh is definitely no different. So I'm going to start with a circle for the head. And like I said, keep it light, loose, and easy. I'll make sure mine's dark enough for you guys to see up there. Yep. And mine's about the size, I don't know, tennis ball, baseball. Not too big, because we'll kind of work our way around it. And just a nice light circle to give us a base. And then for the guidelines, again, very, very light. I'm going to make a guideline straight down the middle. Straight up and down. And then I'm going to do one side to side. I'm going to favor the bottom just a little bit. It's not perfectly straight in the middle, but it's just a little bit, maybe a third of the way up on that circle. So very light. It's just to give us a map for some of Pooh's features here. Now, Pooh, like I said, is kind of deceivingly simple. There's not a lot going on his face. He's a stuffed animal, of course, so it's a couple dot eyes, his nose. But as you can see, it's going to help us having this map to really place everything correctly. So I'm going to start with his eyes. A lot of times I like to start with the eyes. Animators talk about how the eyes are the window to the soul, which is especially true. With Pooh, it's a little different because he just has dot eyes, so it's just a stuffed animal. But if you can get them placed just right, and so you'll see, I'm going to do one over here. It's not exactly in the middle of that right side of the face. It's favoring the inside just a little bit. And so you see when I come over here and do the other one, just favoring the middle slightly. And that kind of helps give him already kind of, if you squint real hard, you can already see Pooh. I don't know if you guys are doing that, but, it helps kind of ground his eye direction if you can get those just in the right place. So eyes are always very important. And with Pooh, I like to come in here and just under his eyes, I like to give him just a hint of kind of a smile line, a cheek right there. When we're drawing, even when we're drawing, flat, a 2D pencil on paper drawing, always like to be thinking kind of in the round, right? And how do we give some dimension to these characters? And so little bits like that really help sell the dimension. So I'm going to come up here to the top of his head, and you don't have to do a whole other guideline, but if I were to do just another one up towards the top, that's where his eyebrows are going to be placed. There's quite a big gap in between his eye and his eyebrow, and for his eyebrow, it's just kind of a loose few lines. There's no direct shape. The Winnie the Pooh characters are really interesting in the fact that, especially when you look at that original film, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, the line work on it is really kind of loose, and that's because it was during what we call the Xerox era at Disney, and that was because the artist literally uses a Xerox machine to copy their pencil drawings onto a cell, which was then painted. So in the final film, if you go frame by frame on them, go home, put it on Disney Plus, and pause it, you can see the actual animator's pencil lines. And there's some frames that get really kind of sketchy, surprisingly so. Some of the earlier Disney films, they're nice, clean, super nice inked lines, especially like you look at like a Sleeping Beauty or something like that. Whereas Winnie the Pooh is really just kind of loose and fun, and you can see the animator's intentions, which is really cool. So we come up here and at his ears. Now his ears are just basically ovals, and the eyebrows are a really good kind of indication of where. If I were to draw a line straight from that cross right there, the cross in the middle, all the way up through, that's where his ears are going to be. And so you got two ovals that kind of overlap just a slight bit with the top of his head there. And it's fun. Pooh, like I said, there's not a whole lot of features on Pooh himself, but you can get a lot of, like if we look at the model sheet here, you can get a lot of expression out of the ears themselves. One of my favorite drawings is this one down here. I don't know if you can see it real good, but where he's kind of stumped, he's kind of frustrated or even borderline angry. And like his ear kind of comes out to the side, and it really adds a lot of expression. So certainly as we're drawing, feel free to do your own thing on here. You don't have to follow what I'm doing bit for bit. You can feel free to change up the expression or whatever. So we've got his ears. We're going to come back down to his nose. And so right under the guideline that we drew, I'm going to do just the top of his snout. And it's a very simple, just a little hill kind of going from eye to eye, almost, and cutting right through where our guidelines were. So that'll be the top of his snout. And then nestled right in there is going to be his actual nose. So his nose is basically an upside down triangle, but it's going to be a nice rounded, everything on Pooh is kind of round and soft. So a nice rounded upside down triangle, something in between a circle and a triangle. Okay, and while you're there, you can add a little bit of shading in there, just to give it some depth and texture. It's not really about coloring it in per se, it's just about adding some tone. And you'll see me as I kind of go. I like to come in, and as he kind of fills out, I come in and fix things that just make sure that my lines are feeling kind of appealing, placed correctly. That's why I start out nice and light. So I'm going to come in here and add his smile lines, his cheek lines. So if you imagine that top of the snout, if it were to kind of continue, right? The bridge of your nose continues down into your cheeks. It's going to give him that smile line right up there. And it's kind of following the same shape as that little bit of a cheek indication under his eyes. So you can kind of almost see that like fleshy part that he's got a big smile, so his cheeks are raised up and pushing up against his eyes. Okay, 2 smile lines. And then for Pooh's actual smile, now a Mickey smile is just going to go, it's going to be a nice curve that kind of stays inside the circle of the line. For Pooh, he's got that kind of bare snout, right? So the smile is going to cut underneath the circle of the head. So when I come down here, and it's still just a U shape, but you'll see how it kind of dips way down underneath the circle of the head. And so you're left with this nice snout shape between the top of the bridge of his nose and his smile line there. And so there you get that nice smile, and Pooh really starts to kind of come to life there on the page. So not quite there yet. We can come in here and add in his actual smile bottom lip. And here's a chance you can do your expression kind of however you want. You could open his mouth a little wider, he's more excited. I like to kind of do just a nice, simple open mouth. So it's just underneath that U shape that we just did. I just do another one that connects the two sides, and I can maybe shade that in just a little bit to give an indication of the inside of his mouth. So I'll let everybody catch up. I mentioned earlier the Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree, and I love kind of the trivia of how the film, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, that I think most of us probably grew up with and seen, came about. It was, if you watch The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, it's very episodic. It's the chapter where he goes to the honey tree, then it's the chapter where he meets Tigger, and the one where they get lost in the woods. And that's because it did not start out as a full feature-length film. It started out as separate individual short films. And even though the final film didn't come out until, I think, 70-something, I forget now, but later in the 70s, some of the early shorts were actually done before Walt died in the 60s. And so even though, we talk about like Jungle Book and Mary Poppins as some of the last films that Walt got to be involved in and got to see, Winnie the Pooh was really one of the latest ones as well. And he loved the books, and he was kind of an integral part in getting them under the Disney banner to start the short films. All right, so we've got all his features figured out. Very important part of Pooh is he is very stout and round, right? It says in the song. So right underneath the guideline that we started with, I'm gonna come out here to the side, and I'm gonna kind of extend that circle almost, and come all the way out underneath, and go back up to the other side where the guideline is. So I'm making his nice round chin. It's all the way down and around. And once you have that line, we just kind of connect everything. And so we've got kind of the top of his head. Here at the sides where his cheeks go, you just kind of make a nice, soft cheek shape. So I can come up to the top of his head, kind of solidify the round shape of his head, and then this part just kind of flows into almost like an S-curve shape, flows into the side of his cheek. And same thing on the other side. I follow that circle down, and then kind of just do a nice curve into the side of his cheek. And that about does it for Pooh's face. We'll come in and we can add a little bit of character details. His iconic red shirt, of course. So I'm going to start out with just his collar. And it's just a V shape that is right up next to his neck. It's very tight against his neck. So a V shape that goes all the way from side to side. And then to give it that nice collar shape, over on the side, I'm just going to do two V's. One out in this direction, and one out in this direction. You can see how that kind of creates this illusion of the collar going back in space behind his neck. So you've got his collar, and then if you reverse that angle and bring it kind of way out, nice curved shape for his body. It's a little wider than his head. Said he's very stout. He's had a lot of honey, and to finish that shirt off, I'm going to do a nice curved line up here where his shirt is kind of bunching up on his belly. And to really kind of accentuate that the shirt bunching up on his belly, I can do a little kind of lip of an extra line right there in the middle. And sometimes even on his belly, he is a stuffed animal, so he's got that stitch line right down the middle. I like to keep that soft. A lot of times we don't actually draw it in there, but for a close-up like this, you can give him a little bit of a stitch line, or even a stitch or two. Sometimes in the movies you can actually see the stitching. And then last but not least, we'll just add his arms. So if you come up, they're kind of, he doesn't really have shoulders per se. The arms just kind of come out from where his neck is. So if you come up to the collar and do a nice round arm that kind of comes down to his belly. He doesn't have fingers, or sometimes we kind of cheat it and you see a thumb if he has to grab onto something. For the most part, it's just a round hand. And then you're just going to want to give him his sleeve. So same thing like we did with the shirt, just a nice round line for an indication of the sleeve. And you can do the same on the other side if you want. I'm going to add a little bit of personality here today. And so what I'm going to do with his other arm, I'm going to bring it around. He's going to be holding something. I'm going to start with a line that comes off from the collar like we started with. Comes out a little ways to the side. Then what I'm going to do for the other side, now kind of stick with me here, it's going to be almost like a 6 that goes all the way around. And so I'm going to start here where that line ended, and it's going to loop all the way around and then back into the side. So you see how that kind of gives this illusion of the hand is coming forward, he's got his hand up. And again, we'll give him the sleeve. Same place, around. Sleeve there. And for a finishing touch, you could, you can give him his balloon. That's a very iconic piece of Winnie the Pooh storytelling. He could be holding some honey. You could draw some honey on his hand. Today, of course, we're at the Festival of the Arts after all. So I'm going to give him a paintbrush. So here in his hand, paintbrush, you can see it kind of sticking out the bottom there. Size of the paintbrush, and then up top is that nice curved teardrop shape of the brush. And if you want, add some paint dripping off there. He is ready for the festival. That is Winnie the Pooh. So of course, speaking of ready for the festival, just a big thank you guys for being here during the Festival of the Arts. It's my favorite time of year here at EPCOT. It's so cool to see all the artists and all the art, of course. And a really big thank you for supporting artists. It's easy to forget that it does, like Walt himself said, it takes people to make it a reality. So, it's easy to forget that it is artists and people behind all of the stuff that we do here at Disney. And so just a really big thank you to you guys. Now, before you leave, I would love to, and before you leave, make sure to sign your masterpiece. Get your signature on there. But before you do leave, I would love everyone to hold them up. I want to see some Winnie the Pooh. Yes, good, yes. Love it, love it. Very good. Keep them up. We're going to take a picture. Let's see. There's going to be a test afterwards. And let's see. What do we say? We'll say honey. Honey on 3, right? There we go. We'll try and get everybody in here. 1, 2, 3. Honey! Honey! All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed. We're going to do it again in about a half hour or so. We're going to be drawing Tigger if anyone would like to join. And if not, enjoy the rest of your day here at the festival. Thank you, guys.